UnTrending truth about.
Hello, everybody. This is the UnTrending Truth, a show about not so popular and untrending topics being discussed. And today we have
Karen Lynn Parker. Hi.
John and Parker. This is our fourth show.
Yes.
I don't know, our fourth show.
Yes.
And
Wow.
we basically will do a short recap. I've been doing disclaimers the first three, but now they'll just be in the bottom. But before we do the recap, Karen, you might want to do your disclaimer. Your disclaimer. Do you want to keep yours in or what?
Yes.
Okay.
My disclaimer is that this is my story. There is no right or wrong way for me to say it to you. I just want to bring it to you as the truth.
Yeah. And not like every time I say that's all you can do.
Yeah,
Okay.
just
Perfect. So we've done four shows. The last show ended. You were 18. You had just gone to the
yes.
military.
Um, yes, I did.
Just went to the military, and before that, we discussed high school and just some other things going on as far as you even changing high school's junior year
My junior year, yes. Coming from Jefferson High School, um, ending up at Lincoln High School.
at Lincoln. Yeah,
Yes.
and you went to Lincoln because
Actually, I went to Lincoln because I. It sounds silly when I think about it now, but I wanted to wear a dress
I
because
love
at Jefferson I had the reputation of just being tough,
it.
tomboyish, and I didn't have the confidence to wear a dress, and I just wouldn't have felt comfortable at all.
Hmm.
So I figured, hey, another high school, be a whole different person,
Yeah.
and that's what I did. I ended up telling my friends that I was going to go to a different school in the middle of the year. They didn't understand it. I just gave
Hmm.
them a reason why I think they would understand. And I ended up at a different school.
Wow. Okay, a few things just kind of popped up with all that. Isn't it interesting how you didn't have a problem playing and being the bully, like the label that they gave you, but you were almost ashamed and scared to be who you were. So you literally l- not packed up and moved to literally went to a whole different school, a whole different environment to
Mm.
do something as simple as wear a dress. But you were able to be a bully and be what they said you were. Isn't that
Right.
crazy?
That is real crazy. But ultimately, inside, I mean, on the outside, I might have been a bully and portrayed myself as a bully. But remember, the inward turmoil that I was experiencing in my life was a scared person,
Yeah.
not having any confidence, no self esteem. So you make some rash decisions that you really don't realize how big of a decision you make out of just
Yeah.
fear.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. That's just when you were saying that, it's like, wow, like you were able to be this person, but then
Yeah.
for a dress, you literally went downtown,
Yeah,
a whole different
exactly. Oh,
area or
man.
whatever. But okay, so let's stay on track. So after high school, you ended up going to the military, and you can pretty much recap or start or you do whatever from there.
Yeah, so basically, even about my decision about going to the military wasn't because I was thinking about a educational jump in to go get a better education. I pretty much went because I just wanted to get away from home. You sometimes think that home or wherever you are is bad So you want to get away from it. So you just go somewhere different. And my only option there was go to the military. So going to the military, actually, I was on what they call a deferment program. I was in high school, but I had to
Hmm.
finish high school before I actually went and got sworn in. So basically, I finished high school at 18. Instead of sticking around and going to my graduation and going through the whole ceremony, I just basically got my diploma and was gone. That's how
Really?
I did it. Yeah, so I didn't do any celebrating or anything. Basically, uh, graduated June the 1st, and then I was gone June the 6th.
Wow.
So it was no preparation. It was no, I didn't know anybody there. So I didn't feel like I was missing anybody from the school,
Oh,
you
I
know.
see what you're saying.
Yeah. So in that sense, it was just like, get in, get out, go. Um, I had a little celebration with my family. They took me out to dinner to what would be then my favorite restaurant was called
The
Henry
Chinese place?
Beasley. No,
Oh,
Henry Beasley.
mm.
In Henry Beasley's. It was a fish
Henry.
and
Oh,
chips.
Henry. Yeah. Mm.
One of the best places ever.
Ever.
Yes. Too
Mm.
bad they're not around now.
Yummy.
But we celebrated. You know, I remember thinking like, or probably said it out loud because I was all at the table, and I was telling my mom and them. I said, "I bet y'all glad that I'm leaving." And I'm thinking like this celebration after I leave is gonna be like a big, big celebration where they can really, throw their hats up in the air and be all happy because I'm leaving. Because I felt like honestly, I thought I would be a big burden off of people if I left. Also,
Because of all the
so I felt
troublesome
like
years.
yeah, all the things I did and all the stuff like that, and I feel like I brought my mom and dad a lot of heartache. So what was the best thing to do is be leaving and
In
thinking
your
that that's
mind.
gonna be, yeah, yeah, that's what I felt like. So
So now, so the decision wasn't hard. And
no,
then I mean, they couldn't or wasn't, I'm sure they wasn't thinking about like stopping you. Plus, I mean, you were 18. So
that was
yeah,
18.
that was almost a next move for you. So then you go to the army and then,
So yeah, you get to the army, you get to the regular, you go, you get to your location and um, what they call basic training, of course,
mhm.
and got the basic training. And if I could say the state, which is just Alabama, is where I was.
Whoa,
And yeah, in Alabama, that's my first time away from home, that far away from
in
family.
Alabama
Alabama,
in the 70s?
Fort Fort McCullough, Alabama. Yes. This was the 80s actually, because I graduated in 1980.
Mm.
So yeah, 1980. So just imagine 18-year-old kid, no self-esteem, going off into the military with no, I mean, no, knowing what to do actually. So
That's crazy.
and I didn't like authority. So
Oh
why would
my
I end up being in the military first of all?
God.
But getting there, going into basic training, you have to shoot the weapons and all the kind of stuff like that. Um, Keep in mind, and I said it before, if you don't change your insides, your attitudes, especially if it's a negative attitude, it's gonna catch up with you. It's gonna follow you because there you are.
Exactly.
So um in about a week's time being in the military, I um I guess I was just hard headed, didn't want to listen, just doing my own thing, imagine that. They were ready to kick me out of the military in 1 week.
Dang.
1 week of being in the military.
That's
I look
horrible.
back
I
and
mean,
think about that.
what were you doing?
Just being hard headed. I mean, just not listening. Doing it's what I be doing the opposite of what they say do. If they say do push ups, I would not do. If they say do, I wouldn't do them. If
Like
I
while
did do them,
everybody else was doing them, you would
yeah,
just
everybody else is complying,
and you would
and
just stand there, sit there.
or get down on my knees and just look at people, maybe, just doing defiant stuff. And just because you
Oh.
Just because you go somewhere doesn't mean you're gonna grow up automatically.
And was that the belief, or the army was just like you said to get away, the next step or whatever? You probably weren't thinking. Were you thinking about, you know what I'm saying, like the next move, the
Discipline?
next step? Not even discipline, but I'm just saying, like, I'm going to the army. But you just wanted to get away. It was like
Yeah.
no real. Okay, yeah.
In my head, it was like, ooh, I'm away from home. I don't know if I thought it was like camp because I went to camp. We went to camp all the time.
Trestle gland.
So, yeah, Camp Trestle Glen. It was not Camp Trestle Glen, to say the least. So when you get somewhere not expecting and not knowing exactly what to expect, you come on with the same mind frame as, hey, I'm gonna do what I want to do.
Oh Lord.
Well, not in the military.
I know. That's why I'm like,
So
oh, that's like a different kind of jail.
yeah. So imagine, I say hard headed kid. Didn't want to listen to nobody. They, like I said, wanted to kick me out. I was one, I said no because my parents, one, would be embarrassed, and two, I really didn't want to go back home a week after I left. So
Right.
I got to talk to the master sergeant and went all the way up to the top, and they decided to give me a chance.
I'll be good.
I'll be good. I'll be good. I was good for a little while. I was.
I'm
I
sure you
was.
were.
I
I'm
was
sure.
good to the point where I made it through basic training, which is like what, 8 weeks.
Oh, child.
Yes. Then from basic training, instead of me going back home, in between the time that you had to go to your next station, which is called AIT, going to
Mhm.
school, then I end up just going straight on to what I had to go to was Fort Sam Houston, which was what was it? Corpus Christi,
Corpus Christi,
Texas.
Texas.
Christie, Texas.
Corpus Christi,
There
Texas.
you go.
Yeah, I've been through there before.
Okay, so I had to
Yeah.
go. I was in San Antonio, but I was a little ways away from there.
Yeah.
But so I went from point A to point B, and during this time, now first of all, let me backtrack a little bit, going back into the basic training. Um, of course, I was co-ed. I didn't mention that I was co-ed. So being co-ed, of course, you get to see the guys all the time. Now, the guys was like on another, um, uh, about, let's just say in miles, maybe about 5 miles away from our actual barracks.
Oh, okay.
But we got to do boot camp. What was it? Together.
Mm-hmm.
So you do the PT and all that kind of stuff. You're doing it
Training.
with them. You're doing, and I I was amazed, honestly, how many good-looking guys were trying to get at me
But
in
you're
the
beautiful.
military.
You just didn't know.
I
You don't. Yeah, you just probably figured it out today. And you was young and fine back then.
Man, I mean, yes, I mean some of the I was like amazed of
Yeah.
all fine dudes that was, trying to, get at me. But the good thing about it, I have to say, is that it was co-ed, but we couldn't do anything
Mhm.
because they go their way,
Yeah.
we go our way. So there was no way to really fraternize, would be the
Right.
word, or you couldn't really get by them and be one on one.
Oh, yeah.
So that saved me from being really promiscuous
Yeah.
that way.
Yeah. It
When
was
we got
always some type of supervision,
exactly,
which is great.
supervision helped a lot. I have to
Yeah.
say that. But when we got passes and in between, we never got passes for some reason because we was always in trouble, our platoon.
Mm,
And then we could never go off post. And you know what? Now I look at it more like as a blessing
of
for me
course. Hello.
because you got so much
Hello,
free.
teacher's foot on the jacket. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, you got so much free time where you can be
The
in so
devil's
much trouble.
playground, honey.
Exactly. So you look back on and say, you know what? actually that was a blessing. But but going to AIT is a whole lot different. You go to school, you go to your barracks, and then your time is your time.
Yeah.
So that particular time with me, that's when at 18, um, I really became promiscuous again, which
Mhm.
like 18 in the AIT, the school part of my military, because
Mhm.
there's just too much time
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
to meet people and always have you can go out and do this. You
Well,
got
another thing too, it's not like you had a goals or a plan.
no, I didn't have I really wish I had went in for MP, military police. But at the time, I wanted to be going in for nursing.
Mm.
But because they didn't have any slots available for nursing, then they said, oh, well, here's something you might be interested in. Well, it was dental. I wasn't really interested in dental,
Yeah.
but I got in there so I can get into the military, so I can get in there for something.
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
I did. And,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
yeah, so choosing that got me in. But honestly, at 18, no supervision, and it's a actual a card to say go play, have fun.
And you didn't have any self-esteem. And like you said, if the guys were popping at you and you were getting attention that you already had a reputation or whatever at home. And the
Yes,
Oregon is predominantly white. You know what I'm saying? So
yes,
unless you was just diverse in your dating or whatever, there everybody
yeah,
or related to
yeah,
everybody, or you know what I mean? And so and then here you go to the South. Well, it doesn't matter because
man,
everybody are transients, from all over, but like to have that attention,
yeah, and
dangerous.
attention. And then, like I said, the attention was pretty much um, at a halt at basic training. But like I said, when I got to school, it was like open season because it was like I was on my own. I mean, you
Yeah,
could drink, you can smoke. I mean, you did everything that
exactly.
you can imagine you can do.
You
At
were you
18,
were
you're an
an
adult
adult.
for real.
You were adulting.
Adult. Yeah.
That's what they call it. Wait, so then even kind of backtracking and going back, like I always try to look at parents, and now that you've parented and I'm parenting, well, you're
Right.
still parenting, but still, your all your kids are grown.
Yes.
What what advice could you give, or even tips to parents to where their kids are in high school or about to transition into going from high school being an adult? Like what
Mm.
in
It's
retrospect?
so it's okay. It's okay to be in their lives when they're leaving home. It's
Yeah,
okay to let them know that you're there.
yeah,
Giving them that advice that if you need somebody to talk to, I'm here.
yeah,
God is always there to bring you through. But to have that physical contact of a parent to let them know that you're leaving, I want your support.
yeah,
Um, one thing I appreciate about my mom and dad, they always made sure that I could call home no matter what.
yeah,
There's never, nope, we over the phone bill this month. You can't call or
yeah.
nothing like that. I
Or mad
always had
at you.
access. Yeah, always had access to call home. So it's important to let any child know at whatever age or whatever level, because I don't think you're ever too grown when you get out into this world to have somebody that you love and care for you to say, look, I'm always here for you.
Yeah,
And here's my number, a hug, or send them off with love,
yeah,
so they know. Because once they leave you,
yeah.
it's all open game out there,
It is.
and like me, I mean, coming from a Christian home, a two-parent household, going into this world of everything goes, so to
Wolf.
say. Oh my gosh. And
I know, so naive. So we were just so sheltered.
so yeah, and sheltered,
It was
and
us weren't
and
even
and you just
sheltered.
don't know.
Yeah, we were just protected. We just had it was so traditional because mom and dad, they like even when it came to church, they didn't, after a certain age, they didn't force us, or it wasn't bad.
No,
Even when we went to church, we could wear what we
no.
want to wear. They weren't too spiritual. They were more models or whatever, but it wasn't
Right.
my thing. And not to get off topic or whatever, but was even like you're saying, the information, like almost that game to be
Mm.
to be able to ward off the world, or to
Mm.
know about the wolves, or to like that. None of that information are, you know what I mean?
No.
They led by
Yeah.
example, which is amazing, because I mean,
Right.
as you are a parent and me parenting, that is harder than anything, you
Right.
know, correct. But
Yeah.
yeah, I
Yeah.
understand that. Like, so yeah, like you were just a sheep out, led out into the world.
Right. And then it's like it's funny that you said, yeah, growing up in the church, and we always went to church at home. But when I left, I stopped going to church altogether. Honestly, the only reason I went to church in the military was because it was so hot in the South. Well, the churches was air conditioned, so that's the only
Wow.
reason I went to church, so it was to get some coolness throughout
Hmm.
the day, and that's why a lot of us went to church. So
Wow.
I wasn't really what you would say going to church to get my spiritual healing or uplifting or
Fed.
anything. I just knew that what my mom and dad had instilled in me, and this is one verse I always come up to with it now in my life: train up a child in the way they should go, and when they get
Uh-oh.
older, they won't depart from it.
Yeah, where we turn to.
I never understood that though until in my later years in life because of the way I was living my life. I felt like it was totally against what the word of God was saying back then.
Yeah.
But I mean, I became, I'd say, being in the school part of my training, um, I became very promiscuous. I became very like um, unsafe. I mean, I would put myself in situations where um, it's like you just don't do that. You don't just get in a car with a stranger and
Mm.
drive off to nowhere
It's stupid.
and have sex with
Yeah.
somebody.
Yeah.
One incident I remember that happened where after I had met a few people getting into the, I guess the barracks, right about maybe this a week, they were trying to, get to know people,
Mhm.
get to know the new people, and I was happened to be one of them. And this particular situation where this one young lady, I say we were acquaintances, and we decided we were going to go to one of the rooms where they were having a get together.
Mhm.
So we go to one of the rooms, and it's like there's guys and there's girls there.
Mhm.
And this is when I used to drink and stuff, and at the time, my favorite drink, I remember it used to be rum and coke. Was one
Mhm.
of my drinks back then. And we're drinking, we're laughing, we got music going on and everything, and I'm up talking to people, and then I'm drinking my drink, and all of a sudden I put my drink down. I go do something else for a minute,
See?
and then my friend, I call it my acquaintance. I don't want to say friend, but she's over there drinking. So I'm like, oh yes, where I put my drink down. Let me go back and get my drink. So I go back and get my drink, which was sitting like on a radiator or something like that. So I go back to get my drink, and I'm getting ready to put my drink up to my mouth like this, and right like this, I stop and say, "Ugh, I don't even know why I'm drinking this. I don't even like this. Honestly, it was a different type of drink." And anyway, I'm getting ready to put it back down, and the girl speaks up and say, "Oh, girl, that's my drink. My favorite drink. I'll drink it." She finished it for me, so I gave it to her. And about less than 5 minutes, she started flipping out.
Oh.
She started flipping out. To make a long story short, somebody had spiked my drink, put something in it, and in hopes to do something with me. It didn't work
Ha.
out that way, but to see her flip out over a drink that I had about an inch from my mouth, and just decided, and you know what that means. I know it had to be God, but to know that I'm not gonna
Put
drink
on the
it.
coat.
Woo, foot on the coat. I like that. Foot on the coat.
Put on
Yes,
the
another
coat.
foot on the coat
Put on the
moment.
coat.
I love that. I'm gonna use that.
Thank you. I got
Another
it from
foot
you.
on the coat moment.
Yeah.
Another foot on the coat moment that I got to see her flip out, unfortunately, and she ended up in a psych ward.
No
And
way.
she never was the same. They had to literally put her out the military. And
Dang. That's
that's
so
one of those
sad.
situations where
Just
you
like
look
that.
back and say, yes, just like that.
Just like that. Mm.
That's one of those situations you look back and say, man, that was God showing me that, you know what? Unfortunately, it had to happen to somebody else for me to actually see.
Could have been
But
you.
you would think once again in life that you would just turn your life around and do something different. But it that happened for a moment where like, thank God, I'm good,
Woo,
and
child.
back to doing whatever, But I during that time, like I said, I would put myself in such precarious situations, like
Yeah.
just
Well, I mean, if you don't have any value,
no
there's
value.
no boundaries. You
There was
know,
no boundaries
yeah.
whatsoever.
I just learned boundaries recently. Honestly, and so if there's core values and self esteem and different things missing, anything is open and game because there's nothing stopping you. There's
Open
no conscious. Now I can't say no
nothing.
consciousness, but you understand, like you
Gosh,
don't the purpose and the goals and all that. Just it's not there. So you're just in the moment.
it's
You're
not there. It's
living.
not there.
Yeah, yeah. Wow.
Yeah,
So,
you just live in the moment.
and that's not
You
cool.
look at each situation like, oh, I got through that. Yay, I'm good. Go on to the next, basically. Um,
Mm.
like I said, during this time, like I said, I was um putting myself in bad situations with different guys. I sit back now thinking about that was nothing but the grace of God. But something I didn't mention though at this particular time, actually I had a boyfriend, but my boyfriend was my grade school uh, sweetheart back home from Portland, and he ended up being in the military also. So we were basically going together,
Ah,
but I
I
was
just
living
caught who he was
living this
talking about.
I was living this double life. I was living this double life where you wouldn't have known that I had a boyfriend, and
Now, were you guys in the same? He was stationed somewhere
uh,
else. He was.
yeah, he was in a different state. I
Uh,
was in Antonio, yes, and he was in Carolina
uh,
at the time. And so, yeah, you would have never known I had a boyfriend because all the stuff I was doing. I mean, I was like promiscuous still. I would just put myself in some bad situations. But at one point, he did come to visit me in San Antonio.
mm,
And like I said, being 18 doesn't make you grown. It doesn't give you the
far
mind
from it.
frame. Yeah, it doesn't give you the mind frame of doing things in a, if you would call it a grown up way.
Mature.
But we very mature, exactly. So what we did, because I knew he was coming, um, I ended up getting it was like a almost like a hotel, but it was more like a room that you get when visitors come to visit you
Like the kitchen
out
and
of
all that
state,
stuff.
out of town, yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's what we did, and I ended up spending the night over there with him.
Hmm.
So of course you know what happened, what we did and
Yeah.
stuff. And so at when he left, time went on for a little bit. I remember, like I said, I was meeting some friends. I met a few friends that I hung out with. That I actually say these are my friends.
Hmm.
And during that time, I just started noticing that I just felt like my clothes start fitting tighter,
Mm.
and
You were pretty
I
thin.
just I just sort of was like, I didn't know, at that time, maybe I'm just eating a lot more. I mean, I
Hmm.
remember going to uh, PT,
Hmm.
uh, training,
First, yeah.
physical training, and having my belt all loose and stuff because I was
Hmm.
like, man, did I just eat too much? What's going on? And that just went on for a while. But, to make a long story short, that I ended up going into the doctor and ended up finding out that I was pregnant. And yeah, at 18, that you realize that you're pregnant. And it was
Okay,
like,
so how'd you, if you were promiscuous and condoms and stuff wasn't in like that or whatever, did you know whose child it was, or how'd you even
That's a good question.
let you get to your story?
No, that's a real good question because you know, because no, you know what? Condoms was, I guess condoms was around for anybody whoever wanted to use condoms if they were available.
Yeah.
But a lot of times people didn't want to use condoms because it was uncomfortable or wasn't
Yeah.
accessible if they didn't have them at the moment. So
Yeah.
who's going to stop and go get a condom?
A lot of self-control and
Exactly.
responsibility.
And then back then in our day, people used to think that, oh, there's different methods. Like there's called the pull out
Pull
method,
out.
or they got, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so they try to make these reasons why you don't need a condom because they have this strategy down
This
to,
what is
you
it?
know,
A rhythm.
yeah. So they thought and so they say. But
Exactly.
anyway, yeah, being promiscuous, not knowing, um, or I should say, being told by your boyfriend that no, it can't be mine. Well, why would it be mine? And this is the type of person you are. So that stuck in my head for a long time because I felt like it is his regardless, because at the time I felt like I wasn't with somebody when I was with him.
Right.
And I didn't ever think that my clothes started getting too big or too little
Mm-hmm.
until after the fact. He left and
Mm-hmm.
he was gone for a little while. And
Right.
that's when I started noticing the difference in my clothes. Never
Right.
before any of this other stuff that me being promiscuous. So basically, he put it in my head that, well, there's no way this child could be mine. And so that's pretty much the way I left it. And
He knew you were promiscuous. He knew you was out there
yeah,
doing stuff.
yeah,
He knew.
definitely.
What do you mean he
Yeah,
knew?
he knew because he knew how I was even back home.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so he knew, and so I never tried to pursue the I or I guess make him believe that it is his child at that
Yeah.
time. In my heart, I'm thinking, yes, it is, but I didn't want to go through all that back and forth,
Drama.
knowing that I am promiscuous
Right.
and it could or could not be. So I
Right.
just left it alone.
Wait,
So
so what was that like, even as a young girl or whatever? I mean, what is that like? Here you're alone, you are doing all this stuff, and then this happens. What, like, where you just keep it moving? Like, what happens? What's in your mind?
um, you keep it moving. You feel rejected. You feel like alone. You feel like just another thing, I guess, on your chart
Huh.
that is
Yeah.
chalk it up as something that nothing new for you because
Yeah.
you so used to being in trouble or things
Right.
not going
Negative.
your way. So it's just
Yeah.
another thing. But I knew for me and the drinking and partying, whatever I did, I stopped doing everything because I knew I have a child that's going to be born. And
Yeah.
so all the stuff that I did, I just cut it out,
Yeah.
you know. So as time progressed, as time went on, I stayed in the army for what, another almost a year, and not coming home. I ended up going to live with my boyfriend in North Carolina.
Although he claimed it wasn't his.
Right, exactly. He had me come in North Carolina. We stayed there. We got in well, I want to say apartment, but it was a trailer then, and we lived in a trailer. And then um, the baby was born about 5 weeks early because I had to be on bed rest for some part of the time, and
At
end up going to the
18?
hospital. I'm sorry,
This is all at 18?
I'm 18. Yes.
I don't think we're gonna make it to 21 today. I
No.
don't know. I don't know if we're
Woo!
gonna make it to 19.
This is all 18. But keep in
God.
mind, keep in mind, I'm by myself. I have no family whatsoever. I'm in a whole different state
God.
again. Moved to
Oh,
North,
North
yeah, we're moving to
Carolina.
North Carolina where he lived. He's in the military.
He's
So,
there with his life. Who knows what he's doing?
oh yeah, of course. So yeah, so his life is there because he's in the military. Well, he's in the military doing whatever he's supposed to do. Um,
Mm.
um, you know, I had to go to the hospital, like I said, like 5 weeks early. So I'm in the hospital, having to be there on bed rest. Have I was gonna say our daughter, she was only 3 pounds, 14 ounces. So she was premature. So I couldn't bring her out the
Wow.
hospital when I
That's
came.
weird.
So
That's a lot.
yeah, at 18. So I had to go back home, and going back home, um, I guess at that time our lights got cut off. Just a lot of stuff is happening. This is all this stuff that, if anybody would have just decided like this, enough is enough. I'm calling home and say, come get
I
me.
know. You
But
know they would have
I
came and
never
got you. You know they would have came and got you.
Oh yeah. I never did it though. I never did it. Came back home. I got it turned around. 5 weeks she had to stay in the hospital after she was born because she was only 3 pounds and 14 ounces. So all this time she's there. We had to go back and forth to go visit, and she's like what, 30 minutes there and 30 minutes back. And and we had a car, thank God. So we,
How would you guys
made a
have a
lot.
car?
Well, we him working in the military was able to buy a little car to have.
Yeah.
So it worked out. So that helped a lot, us getting back and forth, because technically we had to go back and forth like every probably like twice a week just to go see her.
And
And
that's not that often.
which is not that often when you think about it in 5 weeks.
Not your new baby and you 18 and she's pre
Yeah.
2 pounds. Well, three.
But he was, like I said, he was at that time he had to work and stuff, and by the time he got off, I was home by myself, and I just was pretty much waiting for him to come so we can go together.
Mm.
But other than that, um that went on for a while, and then she finally got up to her weight where she was able to come back home. And so our daughter coming back home, it was like, I mean, I personally don't think we were really prepared. I mean, we didn't have a crib, we didn't have
So was she sleep in a
any.
drawer?
She was in a box, a cardboard box.
I was kidding.
No,
I'm
truthfully,
sorry.
I promise you,
Well,
a
I mean,
cardboard
what do you even
box.
have? What do you even know? And I know who you were anyway.
Yeah, 18 years old. Imagine,
God.
no mom, no dad there.
And you
We
actually had parents.
had
You could
parents.
have had
I really
Amazon
didn't.
stuff back then. No, I'm playing.
Right. I didn't depend on anybody because, one, I'm
That's
trying to
good.
be a good wife and do what I know to do. So like I said, she came home and she was like, had to sleep in a cardboard box. So things got sort of tighter at that point because he would go to work, but I guess work wasn't going that good for him. I guess you know what the term AWOL means. That came up a lot. I didn't really know what that meant. I just knew
Mm.
now it was what, absent, without leave,
Yeah.
basically. So that happened frequently, and we end up really deciding that we were going to leave and go back to Portland.
Mm.
And she was 2 months old at this time, so basically, um, just made the decision, which was not very well thought of, that we were just going to go back to Portland. And pretty much that's what we did. I guess we got money enough to go. He ended up finding a friend for the car.
Mm.
Um, he ended up, I guess, leaving my favorite dog of all times
Mm.
there. And the house, or the trailer, we pretty much just left it.
Yeah.
You know, you know how normally people do, they would call the landlord, we get ready to leave. Everything is just
Two
smooth.
18, two irresponsible 18-year-olds.
Very
Isn't he younger
exactly.
than you?
Yeah, he was 17.
Yeah.
And
So, I
so
mean,
so
Jesus.
yeah, so just up and left
Yeah.
basically. And
Yeah.
then, but the thing about it, this is one thing I remember in my mind, if you don't know as a young parent that if you have a young child, especially if they are a newborn, premature, and you get on an airplane with that child, not knowing what the procedures are, um, think twice. And because what happened to us, where got on the plane, and like I said, I caution people, if you don't know what the instructions are to bring a child on the plane, especially if they're premature, you need to know, because we got on our plane, regular flight. We got midway into our flight, and the baby started gagging, eyes start rolling, because we didn't know to have a pacifier in her mouth, or I didn't know anything about that. And then I'm like, oh my God. And the stewardess, they didn't know anything. So by the grace of God, um, everything went okay. But basically, if you didn't know, or you should know instructions when you fly with a child, that's just a piece of information for anybody.
Mm.
If you're gonna go and know what the rules are for flying. And that was a horrific flight, because having to deal with that, being on an airplane. One tragic for me, I had to leave my dog. My husband at the time, like I said, he was AWOL. So we're going back to Portland with all this stress already added to us getting to Portland. Um, so it was a flight. It worked out okay. If I remember right, I think a friend of his came to pick us up from the airport,
Mm.
and us getting back into Portland, we ended up staying with his mom and stepdad for the first few weeks or months that we got there.
Mm.
So we ended up staying with his mom and his stepdad when we came back for approximately, I want to say 2 weeks, but it might have lasted a little bit longer. And at this time, we ended up, just, I guess, a week after we got there, we started looking for jobs. Well, at least I did.
Correct. Exactly. Wait, we are. I can't believe how long 18 took, first of all.
Yeah,
And you're still not even done. We are out of
exactly.
time. So wait, so when you had the baby and all that stuff, like were you guys you were committed? Did you get or like what? As far as
Yeah, we
relationship
was
wise,
yes, we was married.
you
Yes.
guys got married?
Yeah, he was 17 and I was 18. We got married while we was in North Carolina. So yes, I was married.
Okay, and that would be a cliffhanger. We can definitely end it on that.
Yes.
My goodness. Well, yeah, we'll pick up next week. We might need to tape tomorrow to complete 18.
Exactly. Yeah. 18 is long. Let me tell you, man.
But
18 was a
18,
woo.
now that I do know something about you or whatever, 18 was right before everything, kind of like fourth grade. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So
Exactly.
absolutely. So we'll continue and finish 18 and then go into whatever we stop. But we
Yes.
definitely have to end it. We don't want to keep people too long. We always want to be respectful of people's time. And once again, I forgot to open with prayer. So we can end with a quick prayer. We'll be back next week. And this has been wonderful. Let's just pray after she gets off her phone.
That was our timer going off.
Oh, great. Um, okay. So, dear Lord, we just thank you for this time. Once again, we thank you for this opportunity to learn and for Karen to be transparent and help other people along the way and help people feel comfortable about all the mistakes and everything that they've made and the decisions that they made where they might have so much shame and different things behind it. But we thank you for her just opening up and being honest about her changes, her growth, her experiences. And we just, once again, thank you for this opportunity and thank you for this time to share and to learn and to grow through her. And thank you for all those people that are healed. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So exactly. Once again, we will be back. We will be finishing Karen's 18th. That's not the whole show.
Yeah, 18.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, it is what it is. And just thank you again for being vulnerable, being here, sharing, being so honest. Because
Yes.
not easy, or sometimes I think it could be easy for you at this point, but it's not easy for some of us to hear,
Right.
and we're not
Yes.
used to a lot of people being honest and transparent. So I definitely appreciate it because you are helping people. You're helping me because a lot
Oh,
of us
that's good to
do
know.
operate in shame, secrecy, image, just a lot of stuff, so you are
Mm.
opening up um, a lot of doors for people to come through and heal and just to be real, which is great.
Oh, well,
So thank
praise
you.
God for that.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes.
Seriously. So
Yes.
once again, we will end it. We will be back. We thank you guys for being here, listening, and sticking it out with us. And we will see you next time. Bye, y'all.